It's time for Tiger Talk, presented by Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room. Old Chicago, amazing craft beers and food, north of I-70 in Hayes. Old Chicago, share, reconnect, celebrate. Tiger Talk is also brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, providing the best in-home loans to the Tiger community since 1920. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, part of the University of Kansas Health System, and the official physicians for Fort Hays State University Athletics. The certified public accountants of Adams, Brown, Barron, and Ball. Your trusted advisors, providing you with commitment, experience, and integrity. BTI, your John Deere dealer, with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, Valley Hope of Norton. Get help and find hope. The Taco Shop. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. You've never had it so good. Horizon Appliance and Mattress. TVs, appliances, Traeger grills, and Tempur-Pedic bedding. Open 7 days a week at 1501 East 27th in Hayes. And Eagle Communications. Internet, TV, phone. Eagle Communications. Our community connected.
And a good Monday, and welcome into Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock with you as we talk some Fort Hays State baseball and softball over the next half hour or so. Adrian Pilkington, head softball coach of the Tigers, will join us along with Jared Goodale, the Tiger head baseball coach. Tiger Talk brought to you by the great folks here at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, home of their World Beer Tour. They have 110 beers from around the world, so you can ask for the details about it the next time you're here at Old Chicago and begin your World Beer Tour. Old Chicago, they're your pizza and craft beer authority. It's a beautiful day. They've got the canopy open. You can sit outside as well as you make your way here on this Monday. You may be getting set to watch the big game here tonight to determine a national champion, but they'd love to have you here at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room north of the interstate in Hayes. Good to be back. We did not have a program last Monday because Mother Nature has been quite interesting this year, and both baseball and softball series had to be moved back a day for softball, a couple of days, to accommodate Nebraska Kearney with some poor weather, but they finally got all the games in. In fact, the softball team wrapping up an 8-game homestand, going 4-4, wrapped it up with a couple of wins over Northwest Missouri State yesterday, and Adrian Pilkington joins us. I guess congratulate you. Go 4-4, and you look, you had at the time the top two teams in the conference coming to town, and you split those, and you felt pretty good about it. I'm sure the two losses Saturday to Missouri Western, which just really struggled to get the offense going, but you bounced back and had two nice wins yesterday to wrap up the homestand on a good note and a good feel, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's always big, especially you need to split most of these conference sets here, especially coming down the stretch. A little disappointed in the way we played against Missouri Western, but nice to have us bounce back the way that we did and take a couple from Northwest.
Well, we didn't have a program last Monday because both baseball and softball were playing. You were hosting the Riverhawks of Northeastern State. And as we said coming into it, they were sitting in second place. And a nice win to open it 4-3 and lost the nightcap 9-4. Thoughts on that doubleheader a week ago? Obviously got it off to a nice start to get a win over a very quality opponent.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big weekend for us going in. It's always nice when you can take a win or two from the top teams. It always helps you down the stretch. So felt good about getting a win, especially early against Northeastern. It was nice to get kind of momentum on our side and get that win and be confident going into the rest of the weekend.
And then you had Central Oklahoma came in as a number 2 ranked team in the country. They hadn't lost a conference game. I don't think they lost 2 all year, and they kind of get you in game 1 7-1. But boy, what a game 2 win to get the split, 7-6 in 8 innings. And we've seen this the last couple of years, ranked opponents, especially when they come to Tiger Stadium. We've seen it with Western. We've seen it with Emporia, Washburn, other teams. You find a way to somehow get a split and pull off one of those wins, and your team did that again last Tuesday.
Yeah, it was a big win for us. I know the girls were excited and obviously wanted to celebrate that. So, it's tough a little bit coming off that first one. I don't don't think we did as good a job holding their offense down as we could have. But they're good hitters too, so we kind of have to just keep that in mind, and we just set our focus on game 2 after coming out with a loss in game 1, and set our sights on kind of attacking their lefty, and the kids did just that.
Tigers, you got it tied in the 5th. Allison Jurgensen with a single down the right field line. She had a good day, 2 for 4, drove in 3 in that game, and was kind of catalyst for you guys to get it tied and keep that thing to you had a chance to pull it off in extra innings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of AJ. She did a nice job for us. She's been a little bit inconsistent at the plate, but I think she's finally feeling like herself, and she's confident up there, and she's having good at-bats, and that's really all we need from her.
Talk about the 8th inning, Sarah Breckbill singles. That scored Taryn Caldwell with the winner. 2 outs in the 8th inning. It doesn't get much more dramatic than that right there. That's a big-time hit.
No, it was a really big time hit. It was kind of funny when we were reading the press release from UCO. They labeled it as a bloop single, which I thought was hilarious because, I mean, against the wind, ball still hit the fence at the bottom. So I don't know what kind of bloop singles they have there, but that ain't a bloop to me.
Yeah, exactly. That was certainly a well-struck ball, we'll say, to drive in the one. And Haley Chapman, a complete game effort, struck out 9, walked 6. She's kind of been a warrior for you, and that was one of those games she really was, battled through it and just found ways to hold them in check and give your team a chance.
Yeah, Haley's kind of always been a warrior for us. She's always been that kid to come in and battle for us and do a nice job. I just think she's gotten a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more mature. She knows when and where she can miss and when she has to attack hitters. And 9 strikeouts versus that team is quite the feat. She really threw a nice game and did a good job for us.
Tigers get the split last week. It was earlier in the week, Monday and Tuesday, and now they'll be set to they're back at home. We'll talk about the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, with Missouri Western, Northwest Missouri State, and they'll be back on the road this week. We'll preview a little bit later on the Washburn and Emporia State Series, always a big doubleheader in conference play. Tiger Talk recorded Mondays over the noon hour at Old Chicago, your place to watch your favorite games, including a big one this evening for a national championship. And while you're here, you can join their OC Rewards program. It's free to new members will receive a free appetizer for up to $10 after their first transaction. It's all at Old Chicago, your pizza and craft beer authority. We will take a break. We'll have more as we continue here on Tiger Talk from Old Chicago on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
I'm Patty Stoll, broker-owner of Coldwell Banker Executive Realty. We want your dreams to become a reality. Coldwell Banker Executive Realty prides itself in putting you first.
And welcome back to Tiger Talk at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, north of the interstate in Hayes, Old Chicago, where we're recorded over the noon hour on Monday, so make your plans to join us. We hopefully will be here next week. It all will depend on Mother Nature and what the weather does. Of course, we were not here last week because of that very factor. We had baseball on the air and softball was playing, but assuming everything can hold the schedule form, we'll be back here next Monday for Tiger Talk. Of course, to play back on Monday evening, and we'd love to see you out here. Great pizzas, dough made fresh daily. Really nothing on the menu disappoints here at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, north of the interstate in Hayes. Gerard Wellbrock, Adrian Pilkington, the head softball coach at Fort Hays State. We're kind of talking during the break. It wasn't that long ago, but yet it feels like it may have been that long ago for your squad. 8 games in a week's time, and that's got to play some toll. You're going to play. You had to push them back a couple of days to accommodate the weather. But you played a lot of softball in a short period of time last week. Yeah,
it is tough when it's that stretch. I was kind of glad that we had that extra day scheduled in originally to go Saturday, Sunday, just to give us a little bit more recovery, especially for our pitching staff.
Well, you did come back against Missouri Western, played on Saturday, and a couple of tough losses, 4-1 and 5-1, and probably just a big story. They just really struggled to generate much on the offensive side of things.
Yeah, we struggled to get key hits when we needed them. I mean, we had bases loaded twice and couldn't come up with any runs in it, and it's frustrating when you get to that situation and you just can't find a way to score them.
and had opportunities. I guess probably, both games, but especially game one, some missed opportunities. I think bottom of the second, bases loaded, 2 outs, couldn't get a big hit. Bottom of the third, you load them again with 1 out and get a couple of strikeouts. You strike in any of those innings, who knows? It obviously changes the complexion of that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Or at least make a play.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing. It's tough when you're going down with strikeouts, and I don't think we maybe stayed as disciplined at the plate as we could have.
Michael Ann Nelson went the distance for you, 7 hits, couple of walks, struck out a season-high 7. I mean, she did what she could to give your guys a chance.
Mikey's always giving us great starts. She does a good job of, keeping the ball low, working counts, and she mixes well. She does a really great job for us. She's not that power arm most of the time, but she will get her strikeouts every now and then.
Game 2, then, kind of the same story. 1 out, bases loaded, bottom of the first. Didn't score. That had to mentally play an effect on your team, I would think.
Yeah, I think they were a little bit down on themselves at that point, and I think we got a little bit to a point offensively where we were just kind of pressing and trying to do too much.
Grace Phillip had a pretty good day. Her and Taryn Caldwell, 3 hits each in the doubleheader, and she's been pretty consistent for you. One of your top hitters, I think the top hitter again on your squad, and we talked a lot last year how young you were, and you look at it, you're still young this year, but a little bit more experience for a lot of those players, and she's one of them. You can see it a little bit more consistent at the plate and having good seasons for you.
Yeah, Grace tracks the ball really, really well. She knows how to get her barrel where it's coming in at, and that's, I think, why she's so successful. She just sees the ball really well. She knows, what she can and can't hit with authority, and she just always gives us good at-bats.
And, we talked about the pitching. You strike out 18 in the 2 games. I mean, the pitching was certainly there, did what they could. Defensively did an okay job. I mean, just couldn't get the bats going, but did the other areas to have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing a good job for us on the mound, and I mean, sometimes it's a collected effort, but they've been giving us every opportunity really to win. Sometimes I think those runs are scored on close plays too, or mistakes that we've made in the defense. But I'm definitely proud of our pitching staff as a whole.
Then yesterday came back against Northwest Missouri State, and not to say those were must-win games, but I mean, you start looking, they're starting to get to the back half of the season, trying to get into the conference tournament. Pretty important games, and to your team's credit, they came through and found a way to win twice.
Yeah, I mean, they really were must-win games, and, we don't really necessarily talk like that to the girls, but at the same time, you've got to get the wins, when you need them. You got to get them from the teams that are a little bit lower than you, and then that way those wins versus, Central Oklahoma and Northeastern mean a lot more when you're getting the ones you should win.
Down 2-0 after the first half inning, but then came back with a 6-run first in the bottom of the first inning in game 1. After what happened at the plate in the 2 games the day before, that had to be a relief, not only for your team, but I'm imagining for you as well.
Yeah, definitely, to see them have better at-bats and kind of battle back. It's always nice when we strike first. I think that helps give us some confidence, and I know they scored first, but, we scored early, and I think that always helps our hitters.
Did they have a better approach or different approach going into the doubleheader yesterday?
Yeah, I think they were much more disciplined and just letting the balls be balls and really trying to attack the ones that their pitchers missed on the plate and take advantage of their mistakes.
6 runs on 7 hits set the tone, and that was all that Haley Chapman needed. Complete game win, and only 3 of the 6 runs she gave up were earned. Had some miscues out there, but pitched well and did what you have to do once you get that early lead, and never really let them make a big charge.
Yeah, I mean that's the main deal. Do what you need to do. Make the plays when you need to make them, and you usually come out pretty successful there.
Second game, kind of a similar situation. 6 runs second, put you up 6-1, but got a little hairy down the stretch. They made a little push, but bottom line, you found a way to hold them off and get a win.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take the wins at this point. It's something that we've talked about with the girls quite a bit, and I just don't think that we're used to being that team to come in and put a lot of runs on people and want to take it maybe even in 5, and that's something like we've been kind of pushing forward, like don't let up, don't get complacent, really go out and keep putting the runs up. So it's a lesson that we are consistently learning.
Nelson ran in a little bit of trouble in that 5th inning, loaded the bases with 2 outs, but then Morgan Jamison came in and got a fly ball to end that thread. That was obviously a key point in the game, and then pitched pretty well in relief until that last inning.
Yeah, Meg did a good job coming in a tough jam, and, she's not been getting a ton of innings, but she, capitalized on the opportunity she did get, and she helped the team out a lot there.
How tough is that? I mean, obviously, you don't use her every time out, but, the old adage, be ready. You don't know when you're going to get called upon, and she did.
I think she's done a really good job of just always being ready for us, even in scenarios where we haven't necessarily used her. She's just trying to be that relief kid and have that mental preparation so that she is ready when those moments arise.
So the Tigers get the sweep yesterday to split the 8-game homestand and back into 6th place in the MIAA, and now getting set for another big series on the road. They'll play 2 at Emporia State and 2 at Washburn this Friday and Saturday. We'll have a quick preview when we return to Tiger Talk, which is recorded over the noon hour, Mondays at Old Chicago. And you can make your plans to join us next week. Stop by for lunch anytime here at Old Chicago. Burgers, sandwiches, salads, distinctive taproom fare, and, of course, their great pizza, all at Old Chicago Pizza and Taproom. Serious craft brews, seriously good food. More Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network right after this.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here.
It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM. Do you believe in love? Glory days.
Well, 94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
And welcome back to Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock, Adrian Pilkington, the Tiger head softball coach. Fort Hays State, busy week last week with 8 games. Wrapped it up yesterday with a sweep of Northwest Missouri State. Now getting set to hit the road. And big ones at Emporia State and Washburn this Friday and Saturday. Always big games when you play the in-state conference foes. But obviously, as we talked on at the end of the last segment, key games because you're right now in 6th place in the conference. Top 8 get into the conference tournament. So really every game from here on out is big. And you'll face Emporia State first on Friday. They're in 11th, but still in striking range. But a team obviously that has some work to do to get into the conference tournament. So you're going to face a challenging opponent on Friday.
Yeah, I don't think any game comes easy for us these days. I mean, we're working hard for every win that we're getting. So we definitely don't want to look past anybody.
Had a chance to look much at Emporia, get much of a scouting report on them yet?
Well, I'm kind of in the process here.
Yep.
They've been pretty inconsistent, and they've taken some games that I didn't feel like they should, and then they've lost some that I felt like they shouldn't have. So, it just kind of depends on what team comes out.
And then Washburn, a team that's right now in 3rd place. I mean, they've been a really consistent program the last several years. I mean, you're going to play really good softball, smart softball, and error-free, so to speak. I mean, you have to play well if you're going to go to their place and get a couple of wins, or at least even get a split.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team. We kind of know some of the main points of areas that we need to kind of attack on them and really stay sharp, but I think they're beatable. I'm feeling like we played some tight games here. We beat UCO, and I think that's a big confidence deal for us, so we should be confident going into it.
Well, I was going to say, your team should feel pretty good about things. I mean, they've battled, and they've put themselves in a position now to get into the conference tournament. And you haven't made it for a couple of years. That I know was a goal going into this season. They've done a good job up to this point, and now I guess you'll find out how much your team has maybe matured from a year ago because you got a lot of the same players. I mean, can they do what they need to do now to take care of business and finish this deal to get back to the conference tournament?
Absolutely. I think we've grown a lot as a team, and I've seen some of our kids step up kind of as individuals and really try to be sparks and leaders for us. So, I think right now our confidence level is that if we can beat UCO, we can really make a push for that top end of the conference. Maybe not that top spot, but, top handful. Originally our sights were just kind of set on let's get to OKC. It doesn't matter where we're at when we go in. And now, I think we're confident that, we can do better than just 8.
Well, and you look at, you're in 6th now, but you have a good weekend, and you could jump up quite a bit.
Yeah, good weekend, and, even down the stretch, some of the teams that we're facing coming up, I think everybody's pretty beatable, really, and we just got to play our game and focus on that.
All right, sounds good. Hopefully the weather will hold. I know it's looking a little bit iffy later in the week, but hopefully everything goes as scheduled, and you can get them in and go get those Hornets and Ichabods this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There you go. Adrian Pilkington, head softball coach at Fort Hays State again at Emporia State Friday and at Washburn for a couple of doubleheaders on Saturday. Tiger Talk recorded at Old Chicago Pizza and Taproom. We do it over the noon hour on Mondays. Of course, you can always order online at oldchicago.com. They really make your your to-go orders a breeze. Old Chicago, your craft beer authority north of the interstate in Hayes. We'll take another break. When we come back, Jared Goodale, head baseball coach, will join us right after this here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction. Hi, everyone. This is Gerard Wellbrock inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk. We record it over the noon hours Mondays at Old Chicago, north of the interstate in Hayes, and play back at 6 o'clock Monday nights on Tiger Radio Mix 103. You can also catch it on Eagle TV's channel 14 and 614, Tuesday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., and always on HaysPost.com. So join us for Tiger Talk over the noon hour Mondays at Old Chicago. Hitting .396. He has one of the Tigers' 3 home runs this year with 9 driven in. The redshirt freshman from Amarillo, Texas. That's nobody on and one out here in the first, and he hits one high and deep to left field. Back goes Nowak at the wall. It is gone. It's a home run for Talon Mullins-Ohm, his second of the year, and it gives the Tigers a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the first inning. Well, some of the action from last Monday. That's why we had no program. The Tigers were busy at Larks Park wrapping up their series with Lindenwood. We're back here today, and we're glad to have you a part of it here at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, where we recorded over the noon hour on Mondays. Old Chicago inviting you to join them for their happy hour from 3 until 6, Monday through Friday. Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, serious craft brews, and seriously good food. That was the series finale for the Tigers against Lindenwood. Fort Hays State then on the road in Maryville, taking on Northwest Missouri State. Come up short in that 3-game series, and swept last week by Lindenwood, and let's go ahead and talk about that first. Game which your team battled, but again, some of the same problems, fell behind and just didn't quite have enough firepower there to come back and salvage that final game.
Yeah, I think the disappointing thing was, I thought we played a really good game on Wednesday going into that series, and was really hoping to carry that on into the series, and just didn't get the same kind of production.
We heard the home run there from Talon, and that was a good sign. Got off to a lead. That hasn't happened a lot this year, but just unfortunate. It's a decent Lindenwood team. They can certainly hit the ball well, and just too much for you guys as that thing went along.
Yeah, just as the series went along with the pitching and again, just not being able to keep pace offensively. I think, if we had an offense that can just kind of keep answering back or just stay in it and stay within striking distance, I think that would limit some of their runs that they're scoring, just because it's tougher. The more you extend your lead, the easier it is to swing the bats, and that's basically what kind of happened throughout the series.
They had a 4-run fourth, had another 4-run inning a couple of innings later, and, boy, you're almost out of the one, and that would have certainly changed the whole complexion of that game had you been able to get out of that with 2 outs.
For sure, and I think that's kind of been the story of the year so far, and most times it's just always one little thing here or there, and they're not little things. I mean, they become huge things, and we just need to be able to learn from the things that we do well in those situations, or when we do limit it. But that seems to be the common thread so far.
I guess the good thing, and when you're having a season like this is, your team battled. You end up losing at 11-5, but they put a couple of charges in and had some opportunities that they didn't come away with some runs, but they're not checking it in. They're still playing 9 innings and trying to win games.
Yeah, and that's the only thing you can ask for as a coach, is to control what you can control your body language, and control the attitude and effort that you bring every day. And some guys are still fighting. There's they're still competing, and the things we've talked about is show me something, whether it's good or bad, but show me something. And some guys, like I said, have shown some of that.
Well, and they're no dummies. You're excited about your recruiting class. That was announced earlier this year. Recruiting class for next year. You look at it on paper. This team has a chance to get better, but I'm sure for some of the guys on this team, in a sense, they're kind of in audition mode to have a chance to be a part of the mix next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And any kind of production we can get out of them this year, and it just helps them moving forward, to find a role and find a spot on the team. And that's the one thing that a lot of guys are having a lot of opportunities to play this year and getting chances, and some are making the most of it and others not. And so, we just need to keep continuing to, do what they can do, show us what they can do, show us how you can help the program, and and get this thing better moving forward.
Maryville this weekend to take on Northwest Missouri State, a program that's had the Tigers' number here the last couple of years. You dropped the opener Friday. It had to feel weird. You played a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, which is how the format is in the MIAA. How strange was that to actually be on schedule and play when you were supposed to play?
It was great. The only other time we did a 1-1-1 was Missouri Southern, but I think that was supposed to be here. So
yeah, that doesn't count because you had to move it.
Exactly. So, no, it was great. We had great weather down there. Like I said, all 3 days there was a chance of rain and talks about having to move it to a double, and so we were pretty happy that we got to go 1-1-1 and with some great. It felt like baseball season. It felt weather-wise and just atmosphere. I feel like we're in the spring now.
They kind of got away in the final game of that series yesterday, but it was a competitive game for a while, and you look all three up until the last half of that game. Yes, they were competitive games. You lose 9-2 on Friday. A 7-run fifth inning was really kind of the difference in that one. But, again, you can't take that inning out. But for 8 innings, your team was right there and playing well with a pretty good team.
Yeah, you at their place, and the wind was blowing in the first couple of days, so it was, balls were getting hung up. And then the last day, the wind was blowing out, so it was carrying a lot better. And minus the 1 inning, game one. And then getting a home run in the ninth, but to make it feel close, the game never really felt that close after that 7-run inning, and just the way we were swinging the bats. And it's tough, like we talked to him. It's tough to win baseball games when you score in 1 inning, and that's what happened this weekend. We scored in 3 total innings, 1 in each game, and the disappointing one was game 2 when we got another great start from Ethan Boo and scored 3 in the first. And I thought that was going to be the game that he finally got some run production because, like I said, we just haven't – he's given us a shot every time he's taken the mound and thrown the ball really well, and we just haven't scored for him. So I thought that game with the 3 in the first that we would continue to add on, and we didn't. We don't score the rest of the game, and we end up losing 4-3, which was disappointing.
Yeah, I went and looked at it today. I think first 2 games he had no decisions, pitched really well in that Wayne State game. And I think you guys scored 11 runs in those 2 games. I think it's like 2.4 runs per game in his last 7 starts in which he's been the losing pitcher, and he's getting about 2.5 runs of run support per game. And especially the collegiate – that's tough at the major league level. It's really difficult at the collegiate level to win that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we always talk about 7. 7 seems to be kind of a magic number for most college baseball teams in general. But if you score 7, you're going to have a chance to win that game. And we haven't gotten there a whole lot this year, and especially if it seems like when he's on the mound. So, again, getting those 3 runs in the first, I thought we'd continue to scratch and claw, and we didn't. I don't think we had another runner in scoring position until like the 6th or 7th inning, and then we took 2 called third strikeouts looking and just not even giving ourselves a chance, and which was frustrating. But, Ryan Brown came in and got us out of a big spot with the bases loaded, 1 out. We turned a great double play. He made a pitch and made the play, and then he stranded some other guys to keep us within striking distance at 4-3. We just couldn't get any offensive production the rest of the game.
By and large, he's done a pretty good job this year in that role.
Yeah,
right.
He really has. He can handle those big spots, and he's just different enough of a look. If it's for most teams, he's been a pretty good matchup, and he's been able to kind of finish games out and go 2, 3, 4 innings at times when we needed to. And he's a guy you really root for. He was, we a walk on we picked up late. He was a guy that didn't get to pitch much, hardly at all at his junior college. And, just not having opportunities. Well, this year he's getting those opportunities, and he's making the most of them. And he does everything right. He works hard, and he's one of those guys you can trust that he's going to take care of his business.
Ryan Reuter started game 1, gave up a couple of runs, I think, in the 3rd or in the 2nd inning, but then kind of got to him in that 7-run 5th inning. I know it took him a while before he moved back into the starting role, and he had pitched better, and then the last 2 outings been a little rough for him. He doing all right?
Yeah, I think he looks better, but then he just gets himself in trouble. He doesn't really have a plus put away pitch,
right.
A strikeout pitch. I mean, he's going to be a contact guy, and so again, when those balls are put in play, if they find holes, which it seems like it has a lot this year for him, and it's just kind of unlucky, I think, at times too, and a little bit of both. But he's done a good job, and like I said, I think if the offensive production was there, it makes his job a lot easier. I think there's a lot of games that he could have ended up getting a win in if we could have just kind of stayed on pace with the other team offensively.
And I'm sure that's got to take a toll on your pitchers, knowing, hey, I can't give up a lot, because it's just one of those years runs are harder to come by, and that's usually not a good approach when you're out there on the mound.
Yeah, it's amazing in baseball how everything is just so intertwined, in different momentum and way your teams are trending up, down, offensively, defensively, pitching, and how all three just tie into each other. And I think that there's a combination of all three going on for him, when during his starts, or all the pitchers,
right.
They're trying to be perfect and trying to make that perfect pitch, just knowing that, again, this could be the ball game right here, if we don't strand a runner here. So it's, and that'll make him better in the future. I think it'll make, quite a few of our pitchers better in the future and be more battle tested moving forward.
Well, the Tigers are back at home. They'll play 4 this week. Hopefully the weather holds out. Pack the Park on Friday as Washburn comes to town. A non-conference game at it with Bethany. We'll talk all about that when we return to Old Chicago, your home of Tiger Talk, where we recorded over the noon hour on Monday. You can always check out their late-night specials every night, starting at only $3, all at Old Chicago, your pizza and craft beer authority. We will take our final break and more with Coach Goodale right after this here on the Tigers Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
As you plan for your business in 2018, advertising should be an important part of your growth strategy. Digital marketing puts your business in front of the right customers online. Advertising with the Hays Post ensures your message will be viewed 1.5 million times a month, including 375,000 unique views a week. Are you ready to grow your business? Advertise with us today. It's affordable and it works. Call us today at 785-628-0467. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Here's the delivery. High fly ball headed toward left. Nowak back, DJ Miller back, and it is gone. A home run. Tyler Olson with his first home run of the year. And the Tigers have a 3-run 6th inning as they crawl a little closer. And that was last Monday at home against Lindenwood. Good to see the ball go out of the ballpark. Home runs have been a little bit few and far between this year, but you've had now a 2-1 game. You had one over the weekend, and I know that's something, and that's the old phrase, it is what it is, but good to see you guys showing a little bit of power here because you went a long stretch without any of them.
Yeah, I think part of that's just with the weather and just being able to get outside and practice a lot more and hit outside BP-wise. And, it's good to see. It's that instant offense is always much appreciated as a coach.
Well, we're at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, recorded over the noon hour on Monday. Of course, they have 40 rotating draft beers here at Old Chicago, so you can stop by north of the interstate. Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room. Tigers back at home. 4 games this week, starting tomorrow night, a 6 o'clock non-conference game with Bethany. And I know sometimes a lot of these midweek games, you get a chance to get players in, although with injuries is just how it is. I mean, I'm sure you're just going out there try to win a baseball game at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest thing. We need to win a game and to just to feel good about ourselves and get that excitement of coming to the yard and just having a chance to win and being able to shake hands after a game is always a good feeling.
And then Washburn this weekend. Hopefully the weather holds. Friday night at 6, it's Pack the Park. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon for the 3-game series. A Washburn team who for a long time struggled, then had a couple of really good seasons, kind of took a little bit of a step back, and then they're battling to get back into the conference tournament right now at number 9 on the outside looking in, but obviously a good chance for them to get back to the conference tournament. So a team that is certainly beatable, but you'll have to play well to get that done this weekend.
Yeah, last time I didn't look at their numbers this weekend, but they'd been pitching it really well. One of a former player that I coached just got done playing on the pro side and is doing their pitching, and he's going to be a great young coach, and I know he's going to do a good job with their pitchers, moving forward, and even this year I think they've looks like they've pitched it pretty well. So it'll be good to see him, and Pack the Park night is always, as a player here and as a coach here, that's always one of my favorite, games of the year. And as a player, you're really looking forward to it. And, hopefully we get another great crowd and, can put on a good show for them.
I will say this, and obviously it's been a rough go for this team, and but the home games, there's actually been some. Now the weather was a little bit nicer, but there's been decent crowds there, and you just get the feeling if you can just get a little momentum and get it turned around. I know you're confident you'll get that done sooner than later. I think there's a lot of baseball fans just excited for that, and we'll show up and root on this team because we're kind of seeing it already in what's been a really difficult season in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's great to see, and that's part of the reason I'm here because Hays is a baseball town, and I know how fun it gets here when you got a great product out there, and they'll get. I know Hays will really get behind it, and that's the goal. Sooner rather than later. And like you said, and it's good to see that the crowd's getting out there, and like I said, we look forward to putting a better product out there moving forward, and winning games.
Your team hanging in there all right? Obviously, it's got to take a toll. Just on your approach, and I know you go out there and you try to win every game on its own, but when you've struggled to do that, it's got to take a mental toll. You become more of a sports psychologist maybe this season than you have been a baseball coach?
Yeah, absolutely. It's in not only for the players, but for myself and the other coaches. This is something, it's difficult for everybody, and yeah, you just try to stay on your guys about controlling what you can control and your body language. I think that's been a challenge a few times, and when the game gets out of hand, and the game doesn't feel sorry for you. Baseball won't feel sorry for you, and nobody else will, and you got to be able to stick your chest out and head up and just keep playing. Regardless of the score, and just keep battling. It's play all 9 innings, and just like I said, have a good positive outlook and try to have fun. It's tough to have fun playing the game when you're not winning much, and I think that's the challenge that and that's the beauty of baseball. Those ups and downs, and to be a good player, you have to handle the good and the bad, and adversity reveals a lot of character and or negatives, and so that's the things we're looking for this year. Everybody's got adversity. How are you going to handle it? How are you going to deal with it?
All right, sounds good. Well, hopefully it is a good week. Again, Tuesday, tomorrow night, as the Tigers host Bethany, and then at home this weekend as the Tigers get set to take on Washburn. Coach, as always, we appreciate it. Broadcast plans for Friday night and for Sunday afternoon. So we'll see a lot of you at the ballpark. Hopefully it's a good weekend of Tiger baseball.
Thank you, Gerard. Thanks for having us. Come on out, support the Tigers.
There you go. It should be some fun baseball this weekend as they take on the Washburn Ichabods. Tiger Talk presented here tonight by the Hays Med Orthopedic Institute, part of the University of Kansas Health System, the Taco Shop, Adams Brown, Barron and Ball, Golden Bell Bank of Hays and Ellis, BTI, Horizon Appliance and Mattress, Valley Hope of Norton, as well as Eagle Communications, and, of course, Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, your craft beer authority. Old Chicago, it's north of the interstate. Serious craft brews, seriously good food. Hopefully the weather holds. We won't have any baseball on Monday. We'll be back here next Monday for the program, but if it gets pushed back, who knows. But we'll hope to see you next Monday right here on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayspost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.